What's going on, everybody? This is Bryant Lowry with hfmusicacademy.com. And Komplete 13 just dropped, which means we got a lot of new instruments to check out. And today I'm going to be checking out the Butch Vig Drums VST. So I'm going to try to give you a rundown of what you're looking at when you open it up. I'm going to give you a little insight into how things are working within the plugin. And then I'm also going to just kind of play you some of my favorite presets and kind of let you get excited about doing some music here. So first things first, when we're looking at the home screen, when you pull it up, you've got the main interface, and they've made it pretty easy for you to understand what you're looking at. First off, all the samples are labeled with the corresponding letter to what they are. So if you've got a kick over here, you've got a kick, snare, hi-hat, tom, ride, crash. So there's not a lot of confusion. Sometimes I feel like companies put a giant load of presets in these squares for you to mess around with, and you just lose track of everything that's in there. So that was a pretty intuitive design on their part to help you just know exactly what to look for. Also on this front page, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit and get a pattern going. But what you're basically looking at are macros, and each one does something very specific. So, you know, first one on this particular preset is a filter pass, low filter, and sounds like it's got a little bit of a verb on it too. If you want a little bit of transient design, you can open up on the punch. I love these drums too. They're so well mixed. It's such an awesome group of drums that they put out here. Grunge sounds like it's got a little bit of a bit crusher on it, and maybe a little bit of distortion. Get so dirty with that stuff. Flare sounds like it's got a little bit of flange on it. And then, you know, reverb and delay, your classic. That's a wild delay. Okay, so then, go ahead and shut this pattern off. Your final two macros that you're looking at on the front page are tuning on every drum in the group. This is not particular singular tuning. So if you do this, every drum in the entire set will go up or down corresponding to it. And then level is your total level of the entire group of drums. This little feature right here, you can switch between smooth tuning. So you can see that you could really fine tune if you want to go up or down with it. And then if you click it again, you've got step tuning, so it will only go up in steps, semitones. So that's a cool feature, depending on how different and wild you want to get with it. So when you go click on the kit page, now you're looking at all the samples laid out, and you can audition them by just clicking on them. And as you click on them, they open up on their own page, and you can adjust certain things on them. Again, super intuitive. I think they did such an awesome job with this whole setup. It's so smooth. Everything sounds great, and everything you touch just seems to make it sound cooler. So, again, props. So here, you can do individual pitch to your drums. So say I didn't like the snare here, I could down tune it 10 semitones. You know, if you're into that. And again, up. So, and then you've got other features to shape the sound, including volume, and if you want to go right or left with it. And then this is actually an ADSR type curve. And so you've got velocity curve on how quickly you want it to go up or down based on where you have the MIDI at. Say you have it at 127. You want it to smack real hard and real fast, going up to your maximum velocity. You would push it up. And if you want it to kind of be a little more rounded out and not really changing drastically over the difference of MIDI, then you would pull it back. So then you have your ADSR type idea here, which is just your attack. Do you want to cut off the front end of the sample? Do you want the sample to hold out longer? Do you want a decay to last longer on it? And then finally, you have a basic overall filter here with a high pass, which you can see you can take it up or you can take it down. And then, again, these are all just for the singular sample. These do not affect everything else. So then when you go down here, you have a number of 4 effects that you can actually put to each sample. And then you also can send each drum to an effect bus. So we'll get into that here. So say this sample sounds pretty sick. Well, cool. We'll go with the gelato snare. You would click on your insert effects. They have a number of awesome effects on this one. So let's just add more distortion to it. If you want to look at it more specifically, you would go over and click the edit button, and you have a little bit more you can check out on it, including some of the more fine tuning if you need it, and then an overall volume knob for that particular effect. So they did add some really cool effects to this one, including the Supercharger GT, which is just basically a really nice compressor that they've had for a bit. And if you really want to just crank the daylights out of it, you can see that you can also add saturation. It's got attack release types. It's got how aggressive you want the compression to be. These drums are already sounding so great that I don't feel like I would typically go straight towards compression. I'd probably go towards things that make it sound a little more wild. So in my case, I'd even go to like a Van 51, which is like an amp. There we go. And you can already hear that it sounds like it's going through a guitar amp, which may not be applicable in a lot of situations, but I do love things to be dirtier than they need to be when I'm writing. So then you have your send levels. So you can send things to 2 other patches at the back end. And as you can see, they're corresponding with reverb and delay at the moment. We've got that. If you want to up the send, it's not directly affecting the sample. It is sending the sound to the reverb. Different level of processing. If you don't want things to be super heavy, it's kind of a dry wet type idea. And then we've got delay over here if you need it. So those are all your options for individual sample ideas. You can also swap your samples. I think I've already said that. And then the final thing that's worth mentioning is that this button over here will let you input MIDI from a pad or your keyboard. So make sure you click that if you're trying to use like a drum trigger pad to activate all these samples. So next thing is the pattern page. And as you'll notice when you do the drop down menu, there's a list of presets here, and they'll have a corresponding tempo to them. So basically it's just, if you want to hear it as they intended it to be heard, you would put your tempo of your MIDI, of your DAW at that tempo, and then you can click through these. Now, what's great about what they've done with this particular plugin, and they've started doing it a little bit more and more, is this little 4-way arrow thing corresponding to each one is the MIDI that you can then drag and drop into your DAW. So which is just fantastic. If you don't like the sounds but you really like the groove, I mean, there's no better way to be creative. You can just mix and match, and you're going to get inspired really quick. So really cool job that they did there. And I can even use this patch to kind of cycle through some of the other sounds in a minute here. The other thing that's important to note is you can double or half the speed of everything in this. So say you're working on a project and you put the BPM at 160, but you want to hear what it would sound like if you were working at a tempo of 80. Then you would literally go over to the speed. So we'll just play, let's play verse 4. Let's take it up to 160 just so you can get the idea. It's like a cool drum and bass groove. But if you wanted to hear it at 80 BPM, there you go. Or likewise, if you were working in 80 and you just didn't want to do that, you could double it right there. So it's a really handy tool to save yourself some time from switching out all your stuff in your DAW to make something work. So then what we have here is latch, means that when you click one of these, it's holding itself to the bar, and if you click to another one, it's going to finish out the bar in that next one. whereas retrigger, it will start over every time you click a new one. So for instance, if I'm playing verse 2, right in the middle of the bar, I click over, and it's already keeping within that 4/4 groove no matter what. So again, that, you know, if you want to mix and match on any of that, that could be cool. If you're programming stuff and you just want to kind of get wild with your programming, latch is a fun option. And then likewise, retrigger means that you will literally start the thing over. Next page is where all your insert effects are. And so insert effects would go to a particular corresponding drum. Say if you're over here and you want to look at the effects that are tied to this particular snare, then it would be over here. Global effects means it's affecting every single drum on the entire channel. So you can see on this one, they've got stereo GT, they've got compression, they've got a filter, and you can see that the filter is macro assigned to the filter knob down below. There's some transient design, there's some distortion, there's some lo-fi aspects, and then there's that flanger. And then there's a final limiter, and that was nice of them, so nothing's clipping by the time you're writing stuff and you're dealing with extra loud levels for no reason. So and as you can see, you can swap any of these to what you need them to be. So that's a nice feature too. If you don't like one aspect of what they're doing in their master global effects, you can easily switch it out to do something that's more fitting to your work. And then the final aspect of this page is the send effects, which I already showed you, and they're in this case tied to macro reverb and macro delay. And as you can see, they've got actually 2 reverbs on this one, so it looks like there's a little bit of a shorter delay, and then replica is really it is the delay, but let's say we bump it up here. Really handy, really handy. And the options that they've given you to route and make replica or anything else in this are easy to read. I mean, you're not looking at 40,000 knobs and have no idea what they're doing. And then the final aspect before I do some preset rundown is the macros. The macros are these knobs down here, which is incredible, by the way. I like that when you can click on a preset, it's very easy to see where the macros are, so you can kind of get a general vibe of how you want to shape the sound without going in and doing a crazy amount of tweaking. Sometimes it can take hours to tweak sounds if you don't have macros, and so they're really doing you a huge favor here by just making it one easy knob that does something wild and can spark that creativity that gets you going for the day. So you can see that each macro is labeled here, and with it, you'll see down here is the corresponding tie to it. And the way that you get a macro going, I'm sorry, I'll do it over here. This little button here you can click, and when it's blinking, if you click something else, now it's tied to that macro. So that's very easy. And then when you're looking at the macro assign, this deals with how heavily, when you rotate this, how heavily it will affect the sign that you attach it to. So say we don't want the volume to go nutty here. You can see that the volume knob is not going crazy because I've limited the macro assignment. Now the other cool thing that's worth noting is you can actually reverse things by just pulling the top one to the left. So now when I push this, you can see that it's going backwards. So again, very handy, super intuitive, not real hard to figure out. And again, if you want to get some like real crazy stuff going on, it's a way to do it. The other thing worth mentioning is that you can set your own preset knobs here. You can draw in curves if you so wish. I don't know why I would particularly need this, but if you do need it, you can see that as you pass through, you get variations on how heavily the signal is affected per that macro. So and again, you have a minimum maximum knob here, so things aren't going to go absolutely crazy if you make some kind of weird hilly type automation going on. So that kind of sums it up for all this. Let's get into some presets here. So honestly, it's a pretty short list of presets, but they are, they all pack a punch. I mean, they all just perfectly describe what the sounds could be used for. So I'll just kind of go through some of the presets and talk them out and see what I'm hearing. The 8-bit gelato crunch at 112. Sounds like it's got a lot of bit crushed stuff on it, but sounds like they've left the kick and snare pretty raw too, just in case you want to be a little more straight up with your rock, or you're not trying to have 8-bit sounding stuff over everything. I love how dirty these sounds are. Like the ride and the crash too just really complement the kick and the snare on these. Okay, so we got BB Done. And this one is at 128. So set that in Ableton. Let's see what we got. Got a little bit of a triplet groove going on. We'll go ahead and put latch on so that we can hear these seamlessly. It's a pretty sick snare. Let's get into the chorus here. So again, they've given you like a really cool blend of like a snare with effect on it and a normal snare with just some raw power behind it. So I love that both work pretty well in this instance. All right, next we've got the Bonzophonic 80s, and this one's at 110. And let's just do the same thing here. Now this is a heavy kit. Whole lot of room sound in this one. This is awesome. Put some compression on it, keep it from getting too wild. You got a cool tambourine effect going on in this one too. It's great. We'll get into the chorus here. It's a nice washy kit. I think the punch is getting pretty heavy, but let's try putting some grunge on it. Try putting the delay over a verse groove here. Kind of sounds like as you take the tuning up, you're dealing less with like a super heavy flubby kick going on, so that's cool. All right, let's move on. That delay coming back. Cool. Okay. Candy asked. Okay, anyway. I seem to remember this being my favorite kit. There's so much power to it. Let's see what's cool about this kit is there's that huge rock metal sound, but also they included some sounds that you could actually use to keep your programming very dynamic when you play. So this is a great kit. I love this kit. That snare is huge. And then you got a hi-hat break. What else could you ask for there? All right. Dead Room. Kind of like a modern pop sounding kind of kit. It's pretty nice. You got a real snare in there. got some nice claps. The kick kind of has a little bit of an electronic vibe to it. Yeah, nice. Next, Disruptor. Let's do that at 100. Well, let's just go to the chorus. It's a cool industrial vibe. Let's mess with some of the macros while we're at it. I mean, already I got about 1,000 ideas from just doing this. It's great. Yeah, that's cool. That's a cool kit. All right, Disruptor. Let's do Down Baby. I'll do 3 more. How about that? Here we go. Now this one's really slow, but let's use our speed function to get it back up. So I'm going to take my DAW down to 80 and just take it up double time. As you can see, it's 160 here. Ooh, that's nice. Man, and they included some cool electronic elements to this one. It's great. I don't know. That might be my new favorite. That one's pretty heavy. I'm all about that. Let's move down to LSD. Let's see what LSD's got for us here. And I'll go ahead and take us back up to 120. Put the speed back. And here we go. They changed the macros too, so be aware of that. They do different things on this one. If you can hear when you rolled back, there's the low pass happening. Some tight kick and snare combos here. This is nice. Yeah, cool for like a drum break or something. Cool, so let's maybe do 2 more. How about that? Let's do Psych Red Swirl, not Squirrel. And we are going to 116. Let's see what we got. Got a cool kind of disco, retro, vintage vibe going on. And again, notice that the macros changed on you, so be aware of that. Cool effect. Yeah, really useful kit. A lot of cool sounds in this. If you wanted something retro and kind of dirty, this would be your one. Add a little bit of punch to it, and it's really a tight kit. Got some cool toms in this one too. All right, let's do one more. Why don't we just go to Wild Antelope? Wow. Here we go. Last one. Snare's got some kind of wild room reverb going on it. Yeah, there's a lot of cool elements to this one. Cool tambourine in this one too. Yep. Let's see what the macros do on this one. Man, that's a cool reverb. So we go over to effects. Let's see what they did with it. got a digital plate, huge pre-delay, high pass filter, low pass filter, and return. Yeah, that's cool. All right, guys. Well, I hope this was helpful. Again, my name is Bryant, and I'm trying to help everybody out with the new release of the Komplete 13 set. And today we were looking at Butch Vig, and hopefully we're going to be knocking out a couple more for you. And hopefully you find these videos helpful, and above all, help you be creative. So anyway, take care.